Again, my name is Clint, and this is Yin Yoga in the Villages, Florida. Take a seated position at the front of your mat or the back of your mat. It really doesn't matter. Get your feet crossed the way that you normally do, and then reverse them. Reverse your legs. Just do that so that you can feel how it is different. Just allow your hands to rest on your knees or your thighs or your lap. Lift the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Allow your eyes to close. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and let it all out through your mouth. Take another deep cleansing breath in through your nose. Let it all out through your mouth. Let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. And notice with your legs in this different position, how much you have to concentrate on telling your legs to relax. If you have a towel, you may want to stick a towel underneath one knee or the other to make this a little bit easier. But as you do that, just focus on your breath. What part of your lungs you're inflating. What the speed of your breath is. What the length of your inhale is compared to the exhale. If you're out on your lanai today, the heat is certainly adding to your ease of sinking into the pose, having your muscles soften. As you're breathing, if you have any thoughts that just want to come into your mind about what you're going to do later or what you should have done just before you sat down on your mat, know what those are, and then gently nudge those away so that you can get back to your breath. And you do that by deepening your breath and beginning the cycle from the start again. And notice the quality of your breath. Sure. Go ahead. If your fan's not on and you want your fan to go and give you a little bit of a breeze, that would be a good thing to do. And if you have a trusty assistant, ask her. And on your next inhale, open your eyes. This time, again, reverse your legs back to the way that you originally intended to have your legs crossed. And A rhetorical question is a great thing to ask in a Zoom class because you can't answer even if you wanted to. But have you ever come awake in the morning and had a stiff neck or a stiff back? What do? Do you try to avoid that, or do you go right at it? My suggestion is to go right at whatever kind of a stress point you have. And if it happens to be your neck, which happens more often than not, or rather happens more often than other parts of your body, but just take a seated position like you're in right now. Take the crown of your head up to the ceiling, and then slowly lower your chin towards your chest. And if your chin doesn't come all the way down, that's okay. And feel the stretch in the back of your neck. Maybe you can feel your spine reaching its limits. And then begin to roll your head over so that your right ear is above your right shoulder. And take about 2 breaths every quarter turn. So it will take you 8 full breaths. After 4 breaths, the back of your head is centered, and your chin is up. And then continue rolling your head to the left. And hear all the creaks and the pops and the snaps. The fascia of your little tiny neck muscles. Continue on, go around a second time. This time you can speed it up a little bit. Those little snap, crackle, pops are the fascia releasing. This gentle movement is melting their bonds. And the next time you come to center, pause there for just a moment. And then begin the opposite direction. Again, taking about 8 breaths to go all the way around. And going slowly really helps. And if you come to a point where it hurts, just pause there and back up. Lift your head up a little bit. Be kind to your body. One more time around. Head up a little bit. And the next time your chin is at your chest, again, pause there for just a moment. And then inhale, lift your head up. This time, take your right arm up towards the ceiling, bend your right elbow, and bring your right fingertips onto the left side of your head by your ear. And then slowly just bend your neck towards your right shoulder. You're not trying to pull, you're just letting the dead weight of your arm add a little bit of tension onto your muscles. Now your trapezius muscles are the ones that go from your shoulders and your spine up to the bottom of your skull. Maybe if you roll your head forward just a little bit, you can feel that. And then raise your head back up. Release your right arm. Take your left arm up. Bend your left elbow. Bring your fingers onto the right side of your skull and slowly let your head come to the left. Now, if you have any stress at a particular point, use the weight of your arm to help urge a little bit more length into those muscles. And resist the temptation of pulling. Your arm probably only weighs 2 to 4 pounds. So it's not a lot of extra tension on your neck. And then on your next exhale, release. Bring your hand back down. Straighten up your spine. Open your eyes. Shrug your shoulders up and then bring them to the front. And then the back. Make some circles. And then when you come back to center, pause and reverse the direction. And then to go into the next part of the practice, find your way onto your hands and knees. And do a couple of cat-cows here. Get your hands directly below your shoulders, your knees directly below your hips. Do a couple of cat-cows. And the next time you come to center, pause. Walk your hands and your knees over to the left side of the mat. Lift your left knee up, and the left foot back, stepping on the back wall. Try to keep your hips level. And then bring that left knee behind the right. We're coming into shoelace. So your knees should be pretty much in line, meaning that you won't be able to see your left knee because your right knee is over the top. And begin to walk your hands back. If you need a block to sit on, that would be a really good thing to do. And get both of your sit bones onto that block. Now, if this pose is not going to work for you, try a different option. Maybe take that left foot, that left leg out straight, and try to take your right knee over the top of your left thigh as best you can. Might only be this far, could be all the way back. You might need a block underneath that left knee. Whatever works for you. Today, you're not going to be doing the arm work that is normally associated with shoelace, but rather just the simple but challenging forward fold. So start off by lifting the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, and then slowly bend forward, walking your hands towards the front of the mat. Now you might not go very far, that's okay. Keep your sit bones on the mat, around the block. And come forward until you find a comfortable place, or until the sensations tell you you should stop. You can allow your spine to round. You can allow your head to fall forward. Maybe move your head a little bit left to right, or make little circles with your nose. And try to let the weight of your chest just fall forward over the tops of your knees. And if you need blocks to support yourself, you have that available to you too, to rest your head. You should be feeling this in your right hip and in your left hip somewhat, and also in your glutes. If you can, free up a hand, you can always reach back and just feel what's going on. And as you touch your own body, you're giving permission to soften. So your body doesn't think that it has to protect you for the next couple of minutes. If you have any sensation in the right knee, make sure that you make an adjustment, because this is not a pose where you're trying to stress that right knee. If you flex that right foot, if that makes sense and helps, or just move that knee completely. Soften your quads and your thighs. Begin to deepen your breath. In your next inhale, walk your hands back. Remove any blocks you might have. And I'd like you to come into table. So onto your hands and knees, you can come forward, or you can just sit back and then come onto one hip or the other. Bring your feet around in front. And come up into table. And in table, you can make big circles with your hips. You can straighten out one leg and then the other, or you can lift your hips up and back into down dog. And if you choose to come into dog, straighten one leg and then the other, walking out your dog, stretching out your hamstrings and your lower legs. And then the next pose is swan. So either you can come down onto your mat with your hands and onto hands and knees, or you can just bring your right knee up behind your right hand. You can walk that left knee back somewhat, but there are a number of options here that are available to you. One of them is you can get this shin of the right leg parallel to the front. That's a lot more intense, but it's available. You can bring that knee closer to the center of the mat or farther apart or farther out. That will change the angle of the rotation in your hip. And then also you can move your heel down towards your groin if that helps you in this pose. The object here is to drop your hips towards the mat. And if you start off in this standing swan pose, you can make almost all your weight come down into your hips, pushing your pelvis down towards the mat. You can always bring a block underneath that right butt cheek, and that will help your glutes relax for a little bit quicker. And then you can stay here if you wish, or you can walk your hands forward. And as you walk forward, monitor your right knee and see how that feels. If that right knee starts hurting, bring that foot back towards your body center line. Your legs are a lever here, and they accentuate or they moderate how you feel this pose. And you have a lot of options available because there is no perfect pose. There are no two bodies the same. So going for a picture that you saw in the book is the wrong way to do it. You want to feel this in your glutes, in your hip, and in your left hip flexors. And make modifications that are in concert with those areas. Feel your muscles softening. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, begin to walk your hands back, lifting your chest. And when you can, lift your hips and bring your right leg back to meet the left. Move your blocks if you had any. And from table, again, you have your opportunities to either do some cat-cows, make your hip circles, or curl your toes under, lifting up and back into down dog. And then look between your hands, bring your knees down to the mat, come on to one hip or the other, swing your legs around to the front, and lower yourself all the way down onto your back. Stretch your feet towards the front of the mat, that you feel really good on your right leg. Bring your arms up overhead and towards the wall beyond your head, and stretch from your heels to your palms, your toes to your fingers. And then bring your arms back down by your side. And bring your left knee into your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Push that right heel away, keeping that leg straight so that you can feel your calf pushing down into the mat. And then just keep a hold of that left knee with your right hand and take your left hand out to the left into T. And then on an exhale, over left knee off to the right and spinal twist. Keeping that right leg straight or straightish. Your left shoulder is reaching towards the mat, doesn't have to get there. You want to feel this in your obliques, the muscles down around your side body. You want to feel this across your chest, in your pecs, in your upper body. Feel this in your shoulders, your left rotator muscles. And just soften here. See if you can't soften your hips, soften your glutes, in your lower abdomen. Maybe you can feel that knee come down significantly. Soften the bend in your knee. Maybe that will be a trigger. And note how far over you got here. As you inhale, you begin to come back to center. Squeeze that left knee back into your chest. Bring the right knee, join it. And rock from left to right. Massaging your lower spine. Pushing your hips towards the front of the room. When your shoulders are going towards the back. Then come all the way over onto your right side. And come up. And then swing your legs around behind and come back up into table. So from here, do a couple of cat cows. Work that twist out of your spine. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, look straight down between your fingers. Wherever your eyeballs drop to, that's where I'd like your head to be as you walk your hands forward, coming down into puppy dog. You end up with a sway back, getting a slight back bend, but coming all the way down. Maybe your forehead doesn't meet the floor. Maybe you need a block or a towel. That's okay. And feel this back bend. And where you feel it. This is a stretch of your abdomen, of your abs that run all the way from your pubic bone up towards your collarbones. And listen carefully. Lift up onto your fingertips, maybe an inch. And walk your hands off to the right side of the mat. And when you get to an area that feels good, nice stretch on the left side, inhale, inflating both sides of your body, and then exhale, lower your head back down. And feel this side stretch. Use your breath here to lengthen that left side body. And then use your breath to breathe a little bit more length into your right side body. This should be a challenge. But that's making more space inside your body for your lungs. And then on your next inhale, come back up about an inch. And just walk your hands back through center and off to the left. And when you get a nice side bend on your left, just lower back down. Feel how this feels in your right armpit as it opens up your armpit. If this is challenging on your shoulder, maybe just rotate your wrist one way or the other. See what that does. And notice how your spine is. This is a little bit of a twist and a lot of a side bend. And then on your next inhale, come back up an inch, walk your hands back to center. And then walk your hands back till you get to table. Spread your knees wide. And then lower your hips towards the back, coming into child's pose with your big toes together. You can make your child's pose as wide as you want. You'll walk your hands forward. And then soften your groins. Soften your glutes. If your shoulders would rather be down by your side, put your hands along your side body. Maybe even between your legs. Your head can be to one side or the other. Here you're opening up your groins. You're giving a nice, soft forward fold, rounding of your spine. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back next to your face. Push the floor away. Come back up into table. And this time, do a couple of exaggerated cat-cows. On an exhale, your belly drops. Feel your spine here. And then on an exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone under, and your chin comes towards your chest. And then back to cow pose. Bringing more synovial fluid, more lubrication. Next time you come to center pause, walk your hands and knees over to the right side of the mat. We're going to be doing shoelace on the left, so start by lifting your right leg up and back. Keep your hips level. Push that right heel away. And then bring that right knee behind the left. Spread your feet to the wrong sides of the mat. And walk your hands back. Come to a seated position. You could be on 1 block, 2 blocks, no blocks, 3 blocks. Whatever works for you today. And today might be different than it's ever been. Just lift your chest high. You still have the same options that you had on the other side. You can straighten out that front leg. You can make this an untied shoelace by bringing your feet farther forward. That actually requires more rotation on your pelvis. Seems like it should be easier to do, but it's actually more difficult. But depending on the way that your bones are made, choose what's good for you. Then inhale your crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And then on an exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. Take a block or two, just in case you want it. You're trying to draw your collarbones towards the front of the room first. When you come to that stopping point, just pause there. Then you allow your spine to round. Keep your sit bones on the block or on the mat. Otherwise, you're actually reducing the amount of forward flow that you're getting. You should be feeling this in your hips, your left hip in particular, in your left glutes, and your right. If you reach around behind, it's the glutes that are closest to your spine that are most engaged. Those are the meaties. All your glutes are attached to the inside of your pelvic crown, and then to different points of your femur. Breathe into wherever you have sensation. And if you're using blocks for your head, maybe you want to adjust the height because you may have softened up enough to come forward with more. As gravity does its work on you. Try to lower your shoulder blades down towards your hips. And just let your shoulder muscles soften. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your hands back to the mat. You walk your hands back, raising your chest. Then come over, if it's within your practice, just to come over your knees into table. You can do that. If not, just lean back, straight up your feet. Come onto your hips, and then into table. Once in table, do a few cat cows. You can make circles with your hips, or again, you can lift your hips up and back into down dog. Whatever feels best at this minute. And then come back down onto your knees. Coming into swan, you can bring your knee to the back of your left wrist. You can go onto your back if you wish for sleeping swan. Find the version that's best for you. Remember, your left knee can be outside your mat, can be closer to your body center line. The only thing you have to make sure is that you don't have pain in your knee or any kind of strong sensation. Then you can stay in standing swan for just a moment. Your right leg is back with your toenails flat on the mat. Lifting your chest high. And then when you're ready, if you're ready, you can walk your hands forward and come into sleeping swan. But notice how this pose changes as your body position changes. If you begin to feel this in your knee, like I am right now, make an adjustment. This pose, like all other yin poses, are not to match some theoretical body, because there are no theoretical bodies. And when you come to a place that you can rest, if you need to put a block underneath your chest, do that. If you can be flat on the floor, that's fine. If you want to stay on your elbows, that's great. Do what's right for your body. And notice where you're feeling this. And if you're not feeling this, maybe make an adjustment. And you can make an adjustment by modifying where your knee is, or where your hands are. Maybe you can move your knee closer to the back of the mat and farther to the side. Maybe move your knee farther forward. But you're trying to get into your left hip and your left glute. And your hip flexors on the right hip are engaged here just because your right leg is stretched out behind you. And if you want to feel them a little bit more, maybe curl your toes under, lift up, and then sink back towards the back of the room. And then sink back down into the pose. Let gravity draw you down and melt into the mat. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your hands back next to your chest. Begin to lift up. When you can, free up that left knee. Free it up. You can be in table, or you can just straighten out your legs to the front of the mat. In fact, once you're done with your table and maybe your down dog, just come onto a seated position with your legs out in front, pushing your feet away, pushing your calves into the mat. Maybe your heels actually lift up off of the mat. Make circles with your feet one direction and then the other. And then make your way onto your back, coming onto your elbows first, all the way down. Bring your arms up overhead, into the wall behind you, and stretch again from fingernails to toenails. From your heels to your palms. Bring your hands back down along your side. Bend your right knee and bring your right knee into your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. See how close you can get that knee. Maybe you can get that knee all the way into your armpit. But stretch out that left heel. That left leg has been doing a lot of work. And then keep holding on to your knee with your left hand. Bring your right arm out to the side. And then on an exhale, gently roll to the left into spinal twist. Your gaze should be back over towards your right hand. Maybe you can push your right hip towards the front of the mat. See if you can get any more stretch there. Feeling that right side body. And then when you come to a point where it's good for you to stop, just pause there and begin to soften your muscles, dropping into the position. Your shoulder may not be on the mat, but that doesn't matter. You're trying to soften your chest muscles. You're trying to soften your rotators and your pecs. If you're holding on tightly to your knee, loosen that up. Let your knee relax. Let that right thigh soften. Let that ankle come to the mat. If you want to stretch that left leg out straight and get an IT band stretch, go for it. This is your practice. Soften your belly here. Loosen your jaw. Soften the muscles behind your eyes. Soften your feet. You should not have any tension in any body part right now. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your right knee back to center. Draw it into your chest. Join with your right knee, left knee, and give yourself a squeeze. Again, rock from right to left. Make some circles on the ceiling with your knees. Really big ones. So that your hands almost come off your knees. And then pause at center. Reach between your knees and grab onto the arches of your feet. And bring your footprints up onto the ceiling. Into happy baby. And from here, try to get your sacrum onto the mat. You do that by pulling on your arms and pushing away with your legs. So that you get your spine on the mat all the way from your sacrum to your cervical spine. And keep rocking by gently straightening one knee and the other. And then come to a position at the center. Release your feet down to the mat. Walk your legs out towards the front of the mat. Bring your arms overhead one more time and stretch from your heels to palms, your manicure to your pedicure. Then bring your arms back down along your side, coming into Shavasana. If you want to walk your shoulder blades underneath your chest, you may do that, although that's not necessary. Your palms should be up towards the ceiling. Walk your legs out as much as feels comfortable. Maybe roll your pelvis left to right to find that perfectly flat spot on your sacrum. Lift your head up an inch, lengthen your spine, gently place your head back down. It'll put a little tiny bit of tension in your cervical spine, a little bit of traction. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose, and sigh it all out through your mouth. Take another deep cleansing breath into your nose, sigh it out through your mouth, and take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your room. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists and ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, bend your knees, walk your feet up towards your sit bones, and give yourself a squeeze. The alternative is you can always stay where you are. You take a well-deserved nap. And then come all the way over onto your right side. Pausing there for a moment to do a quick body scan. And then using this strength in your left hand, push the floor away and rise up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. You give me joy to teach yoga to people who really want to improve and maintain their body and their spirit through the practice of yoga. Take the compassion and peace that you practice on your mat with you and share it with your family, your friends, and those you may meet. Namaste. My name's Clint. This has been Yin Yoga.